This is Mac OS Ken.
Gauging Apple Vision Pro returns, Apple cops to breaking progressive web apps in the EU, and boosting the price of some boosts. It is Monday, the 19th of February, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. With 2 weeks and 1 weekend having passed since the release of Apple Vision Pro, you may be wondering how many of the things have been returned. You do, of course, get to keep wondering, since we will likely be standing at the pearly gates before Cupertino releases such numbers. Scuttlebutt last week from Cult of Mac had that site imagining as many as 45% of Apple's spatial computers being given back to the company within the standard 2-week return window. Two things made that seem unlikely to me. First, the cult's self-admittedly unscientific number was based on a Twitter poll. Pretty sure, had I seen it, I could have voted in their poll, and I didn't have an Apple Vision Pro to keep or return. The other thing that made that number hard to believe, 45%. Seriously? Nearly half of all of them? Seriously? There is now another reason to not believe such a high rate of return. AppleInsider managing editor Mike Wordle has reached out to sources inside Apple's retail chain at 24 stores, mostly on the East Coast, all of them anonymous. So far, he wrote on Friday, the last day for hassle-free returns of day one devices. So far, he wrote, there doesn't appear to be that much in the way of returns, and certainly not a cataclysmic flood. As for who is returning the device, Wordle's peeps say the biggest group is made of folks with some sort of biological incompatibility. In other words, using the thing makes them sick. The other major group bringing the device back? The blanking YouTubers. It's just the blanking YouTubers so far, said one exasperated-sounding retail worker. Media producers, as Wordle describes them, who are using the purchase as a free rental. While Wordle's work is no more definitive than Cult of Mac's, it does seem more telling and trustworthy. The problems that iOS 17.4 users are seeing with progressive web apps, or PWAs, in the European Union, they are intentional on Apple's part, and they are not going away. That is the word from the Cupertino company. AppleInsider digs into the deal. Basically, Apple says that it's always run web apps through WebKit, which was bound or guided by all the privacy and security features built into mobile Safari and iOS. Among the imminent changes prompted by the Digital Markets Act, or DMA, iPhone will have to support browser engines besides Apple's own. Apple addressed the PWA issue in an update to the questions and answers section regarding DMA changes on its developer site. Without the isolation and enforcement built into its own solution, Apple says malicious web apps could read data from other web apps and recapture their permissions to gain access to a user's camera, microphone, or location without a user's consent. Browsers also could install web apps on the system without a user's awareness and consent. Not Apple's circus, not Apple's monkey, seems to be Apple's attitude. The company goes on to explain that addressing privacy and security for other browser engines would require building an entirely new integration architecture that does not currently exist in iOS. To that, Apple says, who's got the time, especially given everything else Apple has had to do to get ready for DMA. That is what Apple says. Okay, that's me paraphrasing what Apple says. I think we all saw this coming, but now it is official. Epic Games plans to be back on iPhone in the European Union. Mac Rumors ran a piece on Friday that had the company saying as much. In its 2023 year in review, says the report, Epic said that it received its Apple developer account and would soon start developing an alternative app marketplace. The Epic Game Store will launch on iOS in the EU at some point in 2024, and it will provide a way for Epic Games to bring a Fortnite app to iOS once again. If you've been paying to boost Facebook and Instagram posts through their respective iOS apps, the cost to do so is about to go up. Engadget had Facebook explaining in a blog post on Friday that it will start making businesses and influencers cover the cost of a 30% fee Apple is charging when they pay to promote their posts on Facebook and Instagram iOS apps. Following how this works exactly gets a bit convoluted. In a broader sense, though, Apple is charging the 30% for boosts that one might have assumed they'd been charging the whole time. A piece on the issue from Mac Rumors has Apple explaining, "We have always required that purchases of digital goods and services within apps must use in-app purchase. Boosting, which allows an individual or organization to pay to increase the reach of a post or profile, is a digital service, so of course in-app purchase is required. This has always been the case, and there are many examples of apps that do it successfully. Just as users can pay less for services by going directly to those services rather than paying through an application, Engadget says users can add funds to their Meta account on desktop or the mobile web. That way, Meta says they can use the funds to boost posts from any tool, including from Instagram or Facebook iOS apps, without incurring fees." In addition, Mac Rumors has Apple saying that businesses have the option to use the Meta Ads Manager app on iOS to set up and pay for their ad campaigns without using Apple's in-app payment system. The company says that app complies with the App Store review guidelines, which lets apps made specifically for managing ad campaigns offer direct payment options. As for how this has gone on for as long as it has without Apple knowing, excellent question, and one that Apple doesn't feel like answering. Instead, it told Mac Rumors that when it finds that an app is out of compliance with the App Store review guidelines, its general approach is to work with the developer to help bring them into compliance with the rules. Remember the part last week where Peloton was ditching Apple's GymKit for its own one-tap tracking application? Never mind. I told you last week of the fitness line's plans to drop support for Apple's health app data syncing solution for its own in-house thing. Turns out customers were not fans. I thought there might be worries tied to privacy and security and use of information. Instead, customers were unhappy with how little Peloton's one-tap does compared to GymKit. Less, in this case, is not more. According to a piece from Mac Rumors, the one-tap tracking app does monitor distance, pace, and heart rate metrics, but only basic information is synced with the Apple Health app. With GymKit, data like cadence, average speed, and average power is also available in the Health app for Peloton users. According to the report, Peloton on Thursday said that after listening to member feedback on GymKit, the integration will continue to be offered. A huge player in user-generated video has made its way to Apple's headset. The Verge says TikTok now has native app for Apple Vision Pro. Oh, well done, YouTube. Well done. If you're a TikTok user, the piece says the Vision Pro app will look familiar with a vertically oriented player for videos, as well as buttons to like, comment, favorite, and share. That said, the app does take advantage of the added real estate, showing comments and creator profiles on a pane to the right, so they don't obscure the main video player. Really super work, YouTube. Way to go. And finally today, Apple's other big movie of 2023 finally has a date with Apple TV+. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release last Thursday saying that the Ridley Scott epic Napoleon will be invading your living room at the beginning of March. In case you have forgotten, the release says the film is an original and personal look at Napoleon Bonaparte's origins and his swift, ruthless climb to emperor, viewed through the prism of his addictive and often volatile relationship with his wife and one true love, Josephine. Vanessa Kirby plays Josephine, Joaquin Phoenix plays Napoleon. Apple TV Plus subscribers can see them do what they do, beginning the 1st of March. macOS Can, brought to you by... Oh, sorry, hang on. Hello?
Holy Ken, where were you today? I had to have breakfast all alone.
Yeah, sorry about Friday. I caught a cold or something midweek last week that seriously knocked me sideways. I slept for like 14 hours Thursday night into Friday. And all the way through macOS Can. I still sound like crap, but we're back at it now, so 3 cheers for us. macOS Can, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Can. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.